How's it going, everybody? Ty Sites Shadow Games Report. Doing part 3 of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 tonight. Only been about a week since I played this, so jumping right back in. I might even beat the campaign tonight. If anybody's been following, had some weird connection issues with the campaign. It's all online for some reason. I don't know why. Can y'all even see me right now? I just realized how dark I am. Hold up 1 second. Okay, that's a little bit better. Okay, there we go. Y'all couldn't see me at all for a second. Alright, we are going to do about 30 minutes to an hour of news before we get into the game. I won't waste any time. There's not really a lot to really update us on tonight. There's a little bit of some good news, a little bit of bad. Same as always, if you ask me. Old video falsely labeled as ICE assassination attempt in Chicago. I have no idea what that's even talking about. Let me pause this music. Too much stuff going on. War Secretary Hegseth cuts Harvard ties to military education. Undercover video revives Bondi Epstein files controversy. Yeah, it was back when I believe James O'Keefe or one of his reporters went out and caught Pam Bondi saying that there's thousands of videos of child porn. And I mean, you say something like that, it just naturally comes with, okay, well, who was doing the filming? I doubt the kids had a camera and they were just filming themselves, making porn. So whoever filmed that is obviously a criminal. I'm just saying, like, it's just obvious bullshit like that. Like, why is nobody even talking about that? Like, who was filming all of it? I mean, I think about it because, well, I, film myself doing this almost every night. Not every night, but more than I probably should. Fifth Circuit rules ICE can detain non-citizens without bond hearings. That's good. I don't even know why we have bond hearings for non-citizens. That's just really strange to me. I mean, if they're illegals, like, it really should be just one and done and they're gone. There really shouldn't even be much of a detention process besides maybe, like, holdover periods for, like, the night. Because, like, the way I see it, if there's going to be mass deportations, there has to be, like, mass amounts of people flying out of the country every single day. So that means, like, the only reason that you would detain anybody is just to hold them overnight until they fly out the next day. And I mean, if the country doesn't want to take them back, literally drop them off at the border. I mean, like, that's their citizens. They can't refuse them. And if they try to send them back, then, in my opinion, they should just... I mean, I know this is going to sound unethical, but if you have an invading force and they keep coming back, like, there's a certain point where you just shoot them. Like, I'm just going to be real about it. Like, I don't know why we're not at that point yet with, I guess, looking at this invasion the right way. Something that could have deterred invasion to begin with is if civilians were allowed to take care of this problem on their own whenever they have trespassers. Or even, like, let's just say having a border property or something. There's lots of people that were completely taken advantage of just because they live near the border. So I doubt many white people live near the border anymore just because of that. I remember hearing tons of different stories. I feel like there's lots of different forgotten stories now. I mean, if they were even real, let's be honest, a lot of these stories could be fake for all we know, just to stimulate emotion, stimulate anger, rage. We have to be aware of those things. But we also need to take mind of what we all can do individually to help deter these things in the future. And I mean, it might be kind of like what I was suggesting last night, where um, you start to form friendships with people that have guns. I mean, obviously, you should have your own. I'm not saying, just join them just because they have guns, but I'm saying more or less, form a community where you all will literally show up in a time of need, to defend each other. Um, Now, at this point, I don't think there's any real major means to call for that, but I mean, as time goes on, if like all these weird false flags that different, I don't know, conservative pundits are calling for over the next year, I mean, I've heard it from multiple people. It's not like it's just from one character. Um, but, like Alex Jones, he talks about it all the time. Like, just to name, like, at least one person. But there's several other people that are talking about the possibility of having Soros and Antifa riots throughout the year. I mean, a lot of that hasn't really occurred. I mean, the most of that has occurred happened whenever the large amount of um, ICE agents were sent to Minnesota. But anyways, going off my own little tangent here, let's get back to the news. Trump condemns racist video showing Obamas as apes after removing it, but says he won't apologize. Dang it, man. I was kind of wanting to see it. I saw somebody else posting about it, and I was like, I wasn't able to see that. I had to log into Truth, and I just threw my phone down instead of logging in. I sometimes I just hate logging into things, and I just like if I get that prompt, like after so long where you haven't signed in, you have to finally sign in. You're just like, ugh, I'll do it later. It's like I barely remember my password. FBI invites elections officials nationwide to call on preparations for midterm elections. I was actually happy to hear from one conservative pundit tonight that he didn't think that the federalization of elections was actually going to occur. Um, I don't know. It's almost like sometimes Trump will say like really absurd things just to get a reaction out of certain players. I've started to notice. Um, I mean, because I maybe maybe Democrats actually do fear federalization, but at the same time, like I think about it from both perspectives. If I was a Democrat, I'd probably want to federalize elections. That's why I've been speaking out against it lately. I've been, saying that no, that's probably a stupid idea. It's good to have multiple elections in multiple locations. That way, you can't just rig one election, if that makes any sense. Now, I still want to have federal oversight. I think that's where we can have a bit of a medium, you know. I thought that we already did have federal oversight. I mean, it kind of seems like we did if, Trump is investigating the 2020 election. I mean, that's federal oversight. I mean, maybe it didn't happen during 2020 like it should have, but, without federalization of elections, I mean, we should have some type of federal oversight. I thought the NSA was already deep inside all of that, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe they're just there to spy on citizens. I don't know. I mean, that's just what it seems like. I have no clue. What do I know? I'm just a citizen. 11 charged in marriage fraud scheme for allegedly paying U.S. service members to wed Chinese nationals. Oh, good. Go after all the fraudsters. I'm also just concerned. I don't know. I'm just concerned that Vance could weaponize the whole fraud thing towards people he deems as anti Semitic for being anti Zionist, which are just not the same thing at all. Um, as I've said before, I support anti-Zionist Jews. I support their whole thing. I mean, they basically want the same thing that I want, and that's basically to. Um, it's not necessarily to get rid of Egypt. A lot of people think that because of the way that I talk, I might want to like see Israel disappear, and that's actually not my position at all. I don't care if Israel exists, but it is kind of strange that, you have this what seems like a Jewish supremacist leadership in Israel pushing out other religions, cleansing the Muslims out of Gaza and basically just bullying Christians to the point to where they just want to leave. That's the weird thing about Christians, like you don't really have to I mean, well, Christians if you start killing them, they usually rise up pretty quickly, but if you just like slowly, shun Christians and everything, they kind of just go away on their own. And I mean, it's actually Christians trying to be nice by doing that because like they just don't feel like they're wanted, you know? Um, but at the same time, like, Christians, at least in my view, want to maintain some type of holy oversight of the Holy Land. We want to have some type of say. Um, and I think even Muslims should have a say as well. I think everybody should be able to live peacefully together. And I used to think that's what Israel was for, but apparently there was a lot more conflict than what I was taught growing up. And I mean, now it kind of seems obvious why, but um, I used to think it was like everybody got along, and I feel completely stupid for believing that now, but um, you know, naturally you have to fight for your own position if you start to lose a say in the matter. If anybody tries to silence your voice in a matter, you're naturally going to want to speak up and very loud and proud because you're losing that right to say it. So, that's where I don't know, want to uplift the Christians that are actually in Jerusalem speaking out against the Zionists. It just goes to show you that there are people that are already living there that speak out against this stuff. I mean, there's plenty of anti-Zionist Jews inside of Israel as well. They're kind of like the main leading group that are pushing back against Netanyahu. Um, but anyways, I don't know how I got off in that tangent just from talking about fraud. Or was I talking about something else? I think I was talking about fraud. I mean, like, there's just so much money that's been sent to Israel. I mean, if that's not considered fraud, like, I don't know what is, because I mean, we're not voting for that. I mean, the American people don't support that at all. Um, I don't even know the new polls actually. I'm sure they're like dismal though. I'm sure that's why they don't talk about it anymore. Anyway, let's shut up and get through this. All right, Fourth Circuit lifts block on Trump executive order targeting DEI programs. That was a good thing to hear that today. Trump orders prioritizing countries with higher defense spending as customers for U.S. weapons. Really, bro? Just all about selling weapons and I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I understand the capitalist desire to want to profit, obviously, because that's the whole point of capitalization most of the time. Um, but I think there's also an ethical, more stable and social capitalism that needs to be talked about, and maybe not even like using the U.S. as a means for, or I'm sorry, U.S. military as a means for profiting. I mean, we're just constantly fighting ourselves, so it's just kind of like at this point, I'm just kind of like, okay, instead of focusing on fighting each other, let's focus on, I don't know, maybe finding a greater evil in the universe to fight, you know? Like, I feel like we're just at that point where we're like, hey guys, we have a finite planet with finite resources, and, we could wipe a lot of that out with nukes, with a lot of our technology. Like, really, we need to start diverting our, you know, hardcore technologies to other parts of the universe, if you ask me, just to, I don't know, alleviate that human desire for innovation of weaponry. Um, I mean, I want it to occur as much as everybody else, but I don't know. There is a certain point where you have planetary destructive weaponry like we do already, but that's only going to, increase over time. So, like, if we're gonna have like weapons that eventually blow up stars, just to give you an example of where we're headed. I mean, I think we can already create black holes. I think we've already created microscopic black holes before. They don't last very long, but, just imagine if we could create a larger version of that. I mean, you could swallow a whole solar system, just to give you an idea. That's why all those technologies are horribly dangerous to tamper with. Why am I so talkative tonight? I need to shut up. I'm sorry, guys. Trump orders prioritizing countries with higher defense. Yeah, we just said that. Arizona court strikes down abortion restriction laws. EPA reapproves herbicide Dicamba. What the hell is that? With some restrictions. There was another one. Other people, what was it? Glyphosate or something like that. I don't know. A lot of people were talking about that earlier today. It's like sprayed all over your vegetables and stuff or something like that. Dow surges more than 1,000 points to hit 50,000 for the first time in massive snapback from tech rout. Interesting. We're at 50,000 right now. Is that true? Let's see where it's at. Really? No, no, no. When did that happen? Really? It happened during Biden's administration. I was like, how did we even get... And notice this, like, it's like the Biden administration, they knew what they were doing if they wanted to have a good economy, it looks like. Because look at this. It's at the very end of 2023 to into 2024 right here that it goes up, and then it just keeps on rising throughout the year of 2024. And then we get the 2025 right here. Here's when Trump comes into office. And it was already going down as soon as Trump came into office. So it's interesting how it tops out right before Trump gets into office, and then it goes down. Then Trump gets in, and then like a month later it goes up, and then it goes all the way down. 37,000 right here. When is that? That's in April of last year. That's right after the tariffs, it looks like. And then throughout the year, it just spikes up, which is good. Well, I guess for the stock market, but I don't know. Usually this is a representation of like the overall market, but I mean, I don't know. I want to see like has anybody actually noticed any real income growth that they've gotten recently? I mean, is it only going to be in our taxes that we see the income growth? Because that's what it seems like. That's the only way I can really, you know, get a real idea of where this money is going to be coming from if you're not getting a pay raise. Like, naturally, if you're not getting a pay raise, I mean, it's coming from other things. It's coming from lower cost, it's coming from tax cuts. So, that's not necessarily, in my opinion, that's not more income. That's just like the income you already had, but you have to pay for less. You see what I'm saying? Anyways, 1 second. Let's get into. Did I say all these? U.S. arrest Benghazi suspect, Bondi says. So Bundy's really good at arresting people from around the world. I don't even think this was an American citizen. Let's see what this is real quick. FBI has arrested one of the key participants behind the Benghazi attack, Zubair al-Bakoush. I have no idea how to say that. Landed at Andrews Air Force Base at 3 a.m. this morning. He is in our custody. At least 20 militants breached the Benghazi consulate and set fires, killing 4 U.S. personnel, including Ambassador Chris Stevens and Sean Smith. Oh, this is back in 2012. Is this whenever? Oh, yeah, it is whenever Hillary Clinton. Okay. Republican-led congressional panel concluded the Obama administration had security lapses and low response, but found no wrongdoing by Hillary Clinton. Of course not. I just hate reading this stuff every single day, and it always seems like there's some kind of weirdness around Bondi. Like, is she really that dumb where she, like, can't see her public perception of her right now? Or is she just, like, that narcissistic and doesn't care? TikTok hit with charges of breaching EU online content rules. App may have to change. Right after it changes leadership or ownership, I guess. Or maybe it's still talking about the Chinese company. I think actually they still have the Chinese version in Europe, but I could be wrong. Trump administration launches Trump RX website for discounted drugs. Talked about that yesterday. Let's get into the content. Alright, you can't have unlimited imagination and unlimited benefits. Rand Paul.
And the thing is everybody, sure, you can, it sounds like a good thing, bring them over here, but we really didn't need another 80,000 people from Afghanistan. We didn't need another 80,000 people from Iraq, and we certainly didn't need another 80,000 people from Somalia. And if they're coming, they should be ineligible for welfare. If you come as a legal immigrant, you're not supposed to get welfare for 5 years, and yet we know it's happening. The refugees can get it immediately. And that just
Right.
they're on
That's
Medicaid.
the problem, is
we
the
shouldn't
refugee status,
And then
right?
they figured out, gosh, they're smart at one thing. That's those learning centers, those learning centers. Boy, are they smart at those.
Well, I mean, once you realize that you can get a lot of money doing that, there was also autism diagnoses, and then they'd open up an autism center,
And all that money
it's
going
just-
overseas.
I don't fault people for taking advantage of a system that has giant loopholes in it, especially when you come over here from a war-torn country and there's a bunch of people that are already doing it. Like, how do you make money? Let's do
Everybody's
this.
doing it.
Yeah, but somebody had to have helped them.
But there are
Right?
people. There are people saying, and this need we
He
need
just
to, the whole
said
thing needs
that
to
he
be
doesn't
audited.
fault
and I'm
those
all-
people. Bro, I'm tired of giving like these little outs to who we consider to be low IQ people, because that's what he's basically saying. They don't have access to education, they don't have all this. They see everybody else doing it, so they feel like they can do it too. I'm sorry, that's just all low IQ, low morality. It's like I know some poor people that have some of the best morality. So coming from a place of scarcity or just, impoverished lifestyle, that doesn't make you corrupt. Well, a lot of the times, like, impoverished people have lots of kids, so naturally, if those kids have lots of brothers and sisters, they have lots of time to learn from each other what's right and wrong. And if they have less to deal with, that means they're probably stealing each other's stuff quite a bit. But really to them, it might not be considered stealing unless it's their time to hold on to that object or that toy or whatever it is. But, my whole point is that they have each other to learn what morality is. So, like, if you wouldn't do that in your own country, what would make it okay to do it in another country? Like, it's just strange how people can, like, offset their morality based upon, like, where they're at in the world, or like just based upon like whatever racist stories they've been told throughout their life, so they feel like they can take advantage of white people just because, you know, they've been put into that position and they're allowed to be taken advantage of. Like, how can you not have a soul, or at least enough of a soul, to see that you're doing something wrong? Is that not enough of a point to make here? I know I'm in a big talkative mood tonight, but I'm just kind of like, Joe Rogan, you can't be that dumb. Like, we cannot just keep on allowing this unequal treatment of white people and everybody else, or versus everybody else. You know, these two separate rules where, like, white people have to, you know, be held to a stronger standard and everybody else gets to commit crimes. So,
also presenting a bill that will audit the whole system everywhere. But there are people saying that there are either Chinese hackers as well as Russian hackers that are also stealing millions of dollars. The Somalis were so good at it, they were sending hundreds of millions of dollars, you know, back overseas.
Candace Owens reveals that Erica Kirk, Benjamin Netanyahu, and Ben Shapiro were scheduled to film content together in Palm Beach, but it was canceled at the last minute very recently. I mentioned that last night, but it was one of the last things that I said, so I figured I would bring it up. Jake Bro also mentioned this too, but I didn't cover it very well. The average cost to mine a single Bitcoin is now over $90,000. Wow. The price of Bitcoin has collapsed to $67,000. Everyone mining Bitcoin at the moment is losing a fortune. Yeah, I'm just not, I've never felt comfortable with Bitcoin. I feel like I've probably lost more money than I've gained, so I just don't know the point of it really. Like, I mean, it doesn't really seem like it's a good store of value, if you ask me. I mean, even gold and silver, if they're going to be shorted every few months, every time they rise, it just kind of makes you look at it and be like, okay, if you're just gonna lower the value anytime you want to, then it's not really a good store of value, is it? And it's also not cool that you get to change the value anytime you want to. Like, it just goes to show that the whole thing's fake. Like, there's nothing to trust about it. There's no true numbers to go by. And I'm just like, every single day, like, I see these massive ups or downs. I'm just kind of like, okay, that's not stable. I don't know, like, why anybody would want to invest in something like that unless they just know that they're gonna make money that day. Anyways, I digress. Criminal referral for Senator Adam Schiff was quashed inside DOJ by Todd Blanche. So, is he protecting Democrats? I can't remember if I covered this last night or not.
Do you have a reaction to the arrest of Don Lemon overnight?
Do you have a reaction to what?
To Don Lemon's arrest overnight?
Do I have a reaction to it? I don't know what that means. What are you looking for me to do? Jump up and down? But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein.
Leadership on the Hill, Congressman Massey, Senator Schumer, are quick to complain. There is no way they have spent any time looking at the materials we produce, because I know the materials we produce. We produced them on Friday. By Saturday, they're already complaining about what we did.
That's Todd Blanche doing the media rounds all week long, acting so tough, pretending he's so witty and clever. But I can tell you, he's not as hard behind the scenes, right? The plot thickens at the Justice Department as I have received exclusive breaking news from a source at the Department of Justice who tells me that a criminal referral for the very corrupt, lying California Democratic Party Senator Adam Shifty Schiff was sent to the Department of Justice by FHFA Chief Bill Pulte. We knew that, okay? But what was not known was that it was quashed by none other than Democrat Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche. Meanwhile, on January the 8th, the Vice President, J.D. Vance announced the creation of a new assistant attorney general within the DOJ who was going to be charged with investigating fraud across the country, similar to what the Trump team was investigating in Minnesota with all of those Somalis and the daycares. But again, Todd Blanche killed that plan too. Usurped the vice president. That happened just a few days ago. All this comes after, as we've been reporting here on The Absolute Truth, Todd Blanche removed our friend Ed Martin from heading up the weaponization of government task force at DOJ, which he actually gave no power to start with anyway. They had no subpoena power, no money, no resources, nothing. Which leads us to the question that has been dogging us for a while now. Just who the heck is Todd Blanche really? Who does he answer to? To help us answer that question, we're joined by the publisher of the National File, Noel Fritsch, who has been looking into Blanche as well.
I did cover that last night, so I'm just going to stop it right there. Going to move on. Trump administration is planning to make it easier to discipline and potentially fire officials in senior positions across the government, a move that would affect roughly 50,000 federal workers, Wall Street Journal reports. War Secretary Hegseth cuts Harvard ties for military programs. File this under long overdue, says Pete Hegseth.
As part of my commitment to restore the warrior ethos within the War Department, it's imperative to stay mission-focused across the full spectrum of expenditures. This includes maximizing our return on investment when officers and senior enlisted service members attend expensive civilian universities. Graduates should emerge much more capable warfighters, you'd think. But unfortunately, America's highly ranked universities no longer live up to their founding principles as bastions of free speech, open inquiry, and committed to the American values that make our country great. Take Harvard University, for example. I know it well. Our military has had a rich tradition with Harvard throughout American history. In 1775, you probably didn't know this, General George Washington took command of the Continental Army in Harvard Yard and used the university as a military base. From that time through the Korean War, military service was commonplace at Harvard. There are more recipients of our nation's Medal of Honor who went to Harvard than any other civilian institution in the United States. But today, this university with such a unique history, which receives billions of our federal tax dollars, is one of the red-hot centers of hate America activism. Too many faculty members openly loathe our military. They cast our armed forces in a negative light and squelch anyone who challenges their leftist political leanings, all while charging enormous tuition. It's not worth it. They've replaced open inquiry and honest debate with rigid orthodoxy. In our line of work, ideological automatons are useless. We need leaders who can wrestle with multiple viewpoints, professionals who can think critically and independently to solve important questions. Even more troubling is Harvard's partnership with our adversaries. Campus research programs have partnered with the Chinese Communist Party. University leadership encouraged a campus environment that celebrated Hamas, allowed attacks on Jews, and still promotes discrimination based on race in violation of Supreme Court decisions. DEI was literally founded at Harvard. Thankfully, President Trump understands this and has moved to end these abuses. He called out Harvard for being a factory of woke ideology and a breeding ground for anti-American radicals. His administration reminded Harvard leadership that it's the responsibility of the federal government to ensure that all recipients are responsible stewards of taxpayer funds. Last year, the Trump administration put Harvard on notice. Quote, Harvard has fundamentally failed to protect American students and faculty from anti-Semitic violence and harassment in addition to other alleged violations of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, end quote. Why should the War Department support an environment that's destructive to our nation and the principles that the vast majority of Americans hold dear? The answer to that question is that we should not, and we will not. For too long, this department has sent our best and brightest officers to Harvard, hoping the university would better understand and appreciate our warrior class. Instead, too many of our officers came back looking too much like Harvard, heads full of globalist and radical ideologies that do not improve our fighting ranks.
Stop it right there. Only got like a minute or so left on that. All right. Health Ranger says, new article. It's over how China's anti-stealth radar and missiles have ended U.S. military dominance. The U.S. military's stealth bombers and fighters are no longer invisible, and China has handed over the breakthrough VHF radar systems to Iran. Yeah, it seems like this whole pushing towards war with Iran is just making Iran stronger. It's just making, or it's just allowing this new alliance between China and Russia to grow even stronger. Um, we just have to be aware how certain moves can create unintended consequences. I think that's one thing that's going well unnoticed with this administration is just the war posturing is probably not as good as they try to make it out to be. I mean, sometimes it works, but it's not going to work with everybody, and it's not going to work forever. Otherwise, just they're going to start trying to bully us back eventually with whatever technology might outdo the other. That's usually how wars are won, is there will be some type of new technology that will come along. Or maybe even an unseen technology, I think is another good way to put it. Because, I mean, sometimes wars have been fought with biological weapons like diseases, like COVID. You didn't even know that you were in a biological war, did you? I don't think a lot of people realize that they were in a biological war yet. But I don't know, maybe one day we'll be able to have that conversation without freaking out the entire population. One day we'll be able to talk about it. I still think we're too close to it. We're only a few years out of the COVID pandemic. About 4 years, I guess. But maybe in the next year or two, we'll be able to be like, yeah, that was a biological weapon, and we all acted like idiots. All right. Vice President J.D. Vance says he personally dislikes Nick Fuentes and fully condemns him. And Nick Fuentes had some words to say to that. Hopefully we'll be able to get to that. I think I posted it. Urgent warning from Secretary Marco Rubio and State Department. All U.S. citizens in Iran leave now. Where are the posts from today? Okay, I think we're starting them now. The FBI has arrested an individual who sent a fake ransom demand to the Guthrie family regarding their mother, Nancy. I talked about that too last night. Where are the posts from today? Trump says, 2% of the population produces 90% of the violent crime. Think of that. Pretty crazy. Those betting on the return of Jesus on Polymarket this year have outperformed Bitcoin investors over the past 5 years. All right, where are the posts from today? I think I scrolled too far down, but I'm going to cover this one real quick because I think this one's kind of funny. Bill Maher apologizes to QAnon. I guess the QAnon supporters or just Q itself. He says, I can't believe I'm saying this, but where does QAnon go for an apology?
What were your thoughts about the Epstein files and 3 million pages being released? And, now we are hearing that Bill and Hillary Clinton have both agreed to testify in the House ahead of the contempt of Congress vote. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I mean, this is certainly something we were talking in my meeting today about what I'm going to talk about on the show Friday, because it's
Right.
just too interesting. And also, I can't believe I'm saying this, but where does QAnon go for the apology? I mean, QAnon, which believed in lots of really ridiculous things like, Democrats eat babies.
Yeah.
But they were kind of harping a lot on the idea that the elites are running this pedophile ring. And I mean, I made jokes about them. I also made jokes after the Epstein thing happened originally that were on the idea of, obviously there was some smoke there. Well, now with all that's come out in the last couple of weeks, there's a little more than smoke. It does look like anybody who was at all able to get in touch with Jeffrey Epstein, he was the man.
We're doing it.
they just yeah. I mean, and then they all lied about it. Everybody has, and the arrogance also of thinking they could just use their real name in an email, which they did, and didn't try to like couch it in, when I used to get pot before it was legal, it was like, I'd like 2 shirts, please, and no seeds in the shirts this time. You had to sort of codify it. No, they're just openly talking in emails about this sort of, sexual perversion, and that they were all doing, and lots of people who you didn't think, or I never imagined were doing it. I see these names come up. So, I mean, QAnon, yes, a lot of crazy there, but you know what? You weren't totally wrong about that, guys.
Lots of people are saying that Q is right. I just think it's really strange to be like giving all these crowns to Q, saying that they're right about pedophiles. I mean, we already kind of knew about there being elite pedophiles through the Epstein files, and that was outside of QAnon for me. That's how I knew about it. Like, I didn't find out a lot of this stuff through Q. It was more or less, I pay attention to the news, and I saw it from that. But I just think it's strange that we give all this weird credit to Q right now, and we haven't seen any big sting operation that Q claims was going to occur. Once all this is revealed, now we have lots of resignations, but where is the supposed sting operation where they like go out and go grab these people? I mean, I don't know. It's just very strange. But maybe a lot of these criminals that are actually, criminals / illegals, maybe they actually are a part of this whole network. I mean, it seems like the whole network was a lot larger than we all assumed. And I mean, they kind of help reinforce a lot of it. And there's so many people that are paid off to kind of help out with this whole situation. It kind of makes you wonder about the whole, where you have lots of these liberals and Democrats that will lunge out and try to kill ICE. Because, I mean, a lot of the times ICE is actually trying to arrest certain illegal pedophiles, at least allegedly. I mean, their videos, that's what they claim. But who knows? Damn. Hold up, what was he doing on top of the car? So, let me get this straight. There's somebody on the car right here, and this is how the video starts out. He got back up again pretty quickly. I mean, unless that's him on the... I'm pretty sure it was this guy that was on top. Let's see if we can... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's him. He just slid right over. I mean, he seems like he's alright. He's back in his car and he's off and at him. He's like, I'm not letting you get away with that shit. I mean, I don't know, like, that is kind of an odd situation. Like, if they're on top of your car like that, I mean, I don't know, like, I feel like most citizens would probably freak out if, like, let's just say you are a citizen and they'd, like, target you for whatever reason. I mean, you might react that way, you know? And I've already talked about many different times about the possible IDF agents that are being allowed to work for ICE right now. Like, supposedly there's at least over 200 that have already been found. Some of the other videos. I covered it yesterday, so I'm not going to cover it again today. China bans all new investments in Israel, citing fear of security. Trump says he's upset what the Republicans are pushing for Bill Clinton to testify on his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. I'm covering lots of stories from yesterday.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior.
Well, here's Bill Clinton's behavior. Bill Clinton says, I have called for full release of the Epstein files. I have provided a sworn statement of what I know, and just this week I have agreed to appear in person before the committee, but it's still not enough for Republicans on the House Oversight Committee. Now, Chairman Comer says he wants cameras, but only behind closed doors. Who benefits from this arrangement? I mean, I was kind of hoping it was going to be public too. Like, what is the point of, like, having it behind closed doors? I mean, it seems like Bill Clinton wants it to be public, so I don't see what the problem is with that. I hate to side with Bill Clinton, but... Okay, so now Chairman Comer says he wants cameras, but only behind closed doors. Who benefits from this arrangement? It's not Epstein's victims who deserve justice. Oh, okay, so you care about the victims, do you? Not the public who deserve the truth. It serves only partisan interests. This is not fact-finding, it's pure politics. Seems like Bill has been training for this. Like, what to say. It's actually very presidential, if you ask me. They're some of the best liars in the world. I guess this is the last one. I will not sit idly as they use me as a prop in a closed-door kangaroo court by a Republican Party running scared. If they want answers, let's stop the games and do this the right way in a public hearing where the American people can see for themselves what this is really about. I mean, that's hard to argue with. I hate to agree with Bill Clinton, but I'm just kind of like, what's the point of a closed door? I need to hear the explanation for that. You know? Okay. Being Jay Wood, this might be it. Yeah, anti-MAGA, so this is a Democrat. At least most likely. Maybe not. I don't know. I shouldn't say that, but anyways. Donald Trump has blocked the Clintons from testifying publicly. I don't think it was Trump. It kind of seems like it was Comer. The Clintons agreed to this and now are trying to get out of it. I mean, no, I don't see it that way. It's just, I guess there is like fears of the possibility of editing content if you were to have a closed door and if you're not doing it live. Now, if it was closed door and they did it live, I mean, I don't know if that's, anyways, why don't that just change? Bombshell, Obama's White House legal counsel gave Epstein written advice on having sex with minors. Gross. Bitcoin is now more likely to crash below 30,000 this year than rebound to last year's ATH, says Polymarket. Alright, I need to get up to today's news. I don't know why I came down this low. Former Vice President Mike Pence has come out in opposition to the SAVE Act. Alright, let's just go ahead and hop over to today's news because Apparently, I'm getting off the rails here, and I'm still covering stuff from yesterday. Okay. President Trump just posted a video of Julian Assange from 2016 saying there was no dirt on Trump to release or he would
I got
have
to ask you
dropped
about the
it.
U.S. election. As you point out, you're not an
It's an old
American
video,
citizen.
but-
You're an Australian. You know, you're clearly not rooting for Hillary. But are you rooting for Trump?
No. I mean, if we have good information on Trump, we publish that. If we have good information on Hillary, the Democrats, we publish that. It is a bit concerning, the allegations that by the Clinton campaign that everyone is a Russian agent are really disturbing. Why is that? Well, because bizarrely, Hillary Clinton, the Democrat, has positioned herself now to be the security candidate. She's powered up with the neocons responsible for the Iraq War, and she's grabbed on to this kind of neo-McCarthyist hysteria about Russia and is using that to demonize the Trump campaign. The Trump campaign has all sorts of things wrong with it, but as far as we can see, being Russian agents is not one of them. You know, some people have asked us, when will you release information on Donald Trump? And of course, we're very interested in all countries to reveal the truth about different candidates so people can understand. But it's really hard for us to release anything worse than what comes out of Donald Trump's mouth every second day. I mean, it's part of his charismatic appeal that he speaks off the cuff.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of their people.
The American populace is facing an unconventional warfare scenario. This is information warfare.
Okay. I didn't expect that to be on the end of that video. That was kind of interesting. Yeah, that's what Trump is posting. And people don't think that he posts Q stuff, and I'm just like, do you even, like, research anything? Do you ever, like, check his Truth Social? Because it's full of Q stuff. Like, I don't know what the hell. Like, and people, like, you know, question all the other Q followers. I'm like, he's posting half those people, like, every other day. So, I don't know what it takes to convince everybody, but I feel like a lot of people see that, you know, Q was a PSYOP and it was, well, used for possibly good intentions. It just really depends on, like, how you see Trump right now. I mean, because, like, it really goes into two different camps, if you ask me. If, let's just say, Q is a PSYOP created by the U.S. military, it's either an actual patriotic PSYOP to, you know, help preserve this country by exposing this pedophile network, this satanic network, or it's a Mossad op, and it was created by all the satanic pedophile people, and they're basically just rubbing it in your face that they exist now, and they're just openly taking over right in front of us, and we're so shocked by the fact that this is happening so openly that we really don't know what to do right now. Now, you can believe whatever you want. I'm just saying that those are the two most likely options with Q, if you ask me, at this point. So, you know, you can look at it as a positive PSYOP, or you can look at it as a negative PSYOP. I don't care. Honestly, I just wish the PSYOP would wrap up, and I wish that we would fix the Smith-Mundt Act. I can never say that word. Smith-Mundt Act. And once we fix that, whatever's wrong with it, because I think it's like altered or something, that or it just needs to be repealed or rewritten, I don't know. It needs to be fixed. And we don't need to allow propaganda on the American people anymore. It's really sick that we even allow all of this to occur. And, that video actually summed it up right there. Governments should be afraid of their own people. And we really should be giving citizens the tools to have oversight over their government. And even, individuals in our government. Now, not to the point of putting their lives in risk. I mean, honestly, I think government officials should probably live in a nice prison-like facility that, allows them to have security every single night, but also keeps them locked in so they're not out doing weird, fucked up shit, like pedophilia or anything like that. Like, I seriously think we should treat these people like prisoners and, like, just, let them out every single day to eat lunch and, do the voting. I know it sounds fucked up, but I'm just kind of like, I am, at the point of just calling for black flags being flown again. It wasn't that long ago that, lots of American black flags are being flown just because people were done with the shit. Now, I'm not calling for violence or anything, but, black flags do send a signal to the government that people are fed up with shit. It was kind of like a few years ago whenever people were flying the upside-down flags. That was a good signal to the government that people were displeased. I think for the right, at least people on the right or in the center, I think a black flag sends a stronger message. Because it's not trying to intimidate cops, really. I mean, I think the more sympathetic cops will be like, yeah, man, this government's screwed up, and, I'm proud that you want to fly that flag and represent that you're done with this shit, and you want to stand up for not dealing with treason anymore. I mean, that's why I think Bondi, I've been calling for her to go for quite a while now, at least the past month or so. But it's just like we have all these like strange hurdles that we're trying to get rid of, and it seems like they're slowly kind of coming unknit right now. A lot of it's leftovers from the Obama FBI and intelligence services during his reign. So once that is gutted out, hopefully things will start to go a little bit faster. But as of right now, we are still pretty stalled. But we do have an arrest today from Pam Bondi.
I'm proud
Benghazi
to announce that the
suspect.
FBI has arrested one of the key participants behind the Benghazi attack. Zubair al-Bakash landed at Andrews Air Force Base at 3 a.m. this morning. He is in our custody. He was greeted by Director Patel and U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro. Hillary Clinton famously once said about Benghazi, "What difference at this point does it make?" Well, it makes a difference to Donald Trump. It makes a difference to those families. And 14 years later, it makes a difference to law enforcement who made the difference in this case. Thank you, President Trump, for supporting all of our agencies around the country and around the world. Al-Bakash will now face American justice on American soil. We will prosecute this alleged terrorist to the fullest extent of the law. He'll face charges related to murder, terrorism, arson, among others. Let this case serve as a reminder. If you commit a crime against the American people anywhere in this world, President Trump's Justice Department will find you.
Anywhere in this world. Wow. They'll show up anywhere, guys. They will literally show up in a presidential yard and nab a motherfucker out of his bed.
According to multiple reports in the Main Wire, African immigrants who do not speak English in many cases and have no experience in healthcare are allegedly stealing millions of taxpayer dollars from the state by taking a 50-hour course to care for elderly Americans and then billing the government. All of this, according to our next guest, Steve Robinson, the editor-in-chief at the Maine Wire, and John Featherston is a columnist at the Maine Wire, the only news outlet in the state of Maine that's actually interested in this story. It's great to have you both back on. Steve, are these people actually providing the care and then billing the government, or is this similar to what we've seen in Minneapolis with the Somalian fraud?
In many cases, no, but in some cases, unfortunately, yes. They're providing some semblance of care, but it really boils down to neglect and abuse. As I told Sean Ryan on his podcast, it would be better if the patients were fake in some of these homes, because the conditions that they're living in that have been described to me by eyewitnesses and people familiar with these operations are inhumane and deplorable. But I think it's important to understand that there's a diverse array of fraudulent operations happening in Maine. We have home care agencies that are essentially just P.O. boxes that send invoices to the Department of Health and Human Services and get paid. But we also have the residential care facilities where actual houses are being operated under the guise of providing care for disabled adults. Wow. And there are real adults in those houses, but they're cutting corners and they're overworking their employees. So you have employees sleeping and neglecting the people they're supposed to be taking care of. So we have multiple different programs, multiple different forms of fraud. And just last week, the Office of Inspector General at the Department of Health and Human Services issued a report saying that in 2023 alone, Maine improperly billed $46 million worth of Medicaid payments to the federal government. And this was one program,
$46
1
million.
year.
Wow.
Section 28, $46 million.
Okay.
And they're looking to claw back that money.
Secretary Kristi Noem says for months, activist judges have ordered the release of alien after alien based on the false claim that DHS was breaking the law. Wow. U.S. Embassy tells citizens to leave Iran now. It's from last night. Same thing right there. Rothschilds were literally hunting and killing people, says War Horizon. Guess this is from the Epstein files. Pam Bondi says tonight our Justice Department attorneys secured yet another crucial legal victory in support of President Trump's immigration agenda. The Fifth Circuit just held illegal aliens can rightfully be detained without bond. A significant blow against activist judges who have been undermining our efforts to make America safe again at every turn. Thank you to Ben Hayes, who argued this case, Brett Shumate, and DOJ Civil Division. I already covered that video. Hodge twins say, never forget Pam Bondi admitting there are tens of thousands of videos with little kids in the Epstein files. Like I said at the very beginning of the video, if there's child porn, there's obviously somebody filming it. So whoever filmed the child porn was obviously committing a crime. Naturally, you should go after the people that tried to film it, if possible. Because I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those people were in the video. Plus, I'm sure there's probably some adults in the video, but I don't know that for a fact. I'm not going to claim things that I don't know. Alright, we got Rothschilds on... That's not the Rothschilds, never mind. This is the Rothschilds. This is Jacob Rothschild right here. Epstein Rothschild ties the full picture in 17 seconds. I hate that music, man. I'm not playing that. Just like play it without the music. If Republicans lose the midterms, it's because people like Pam Bondi protected pedophiles. Hear, hear.
When the Epstein files are going to get released?
We hope soon. The FBI's been.
Okay.
So,
any dates?
No, you know what it is? There are tens and thousands videos. Yeah. And it's all with little kids. So they have to go through every one. Tens and thousands of videos. Yeah. And it's all with little kids.
CNN admits President Trump was telling the truth. The mainstream media not only lied to you about Pizzagate, they also lied to you about President
Epstein.
Trump.
The Journal reports that a spa worker from Mar-a-Lago often made house calls to Jeffrey Epstein's home 2 miles away. But those house calls, quote, came to a halt in 2003 after an 18-year-old beautician returned to the club from a house call to Epstein and reported to managers that he had pressured her for sex. The HR manager faxed Trump a letter suggesting that the club ban Epstein. And Trump agreed, which does mirror the president's own public comments about why he cut ties with Epstein. The White House is responding to the Wall Street Journal, writing, no matter how many times this story is told and retold, the truth remains President Trump did nothing wrong, and he kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of Mar-a-Lago for being a creep.
He cut ties with Jeffrey Epstein long before Epstein became a convicted sex offender. A lot of Democrats didn't, and it is corroborated by the Wall Street Journal tonight.
Epstein.
Some people are shocked to see Trump was an informant against Epstein, but people who follow Q know he's part of a military operation to take down the entire satanic empire. The choice to know is yours, says Hag Drogo.
Let me go and search Trump. Donald Trump. Witness. It's witness information. Wait, Donald Trump was a witness in this, right? That's what it says. It says witness information. And it says age 70. So this was 9 years ago because he's 79 now. He was an informant? Yes, he was. And this is an open secret. Everybody knows this.
US
Let me go
Congressman
and search.
Tim Burchett goes nuclear, says global dissident.
Should there be an investigation or a special counsel investigation?
I don't know. I'm not an attorney. I just find them guilty and hang them publicly. I mean, that's not over the top either. I'm over it. It disgusts me. I'm big on clarity and transparency, and you know, that's good reason people don't trust government, either party.
But you don't believe what the Justice Department is saying?
I don't know. No, I don't. I don't trust.
Rep. Thomas Massey says President Trump called him a moron today for fighting to cut spending in foreign aid and expose sex traffickers. Emerald Robinson says this is how Trump's DOJ works now. Let's say you're a Democrat who might be indicted for a crime soon. You're told that a certain Trump advisor who's not an admin is the person to contact. You're given a price, and if you pay, then your indictment gets quashed. Is it Kushner? He's not part of the admin, and he seems to be like the negotiator of everything. Weirdly enough, Andy's married to Trump's daughter. Andy's Jewish. Alright, Mario Nafal says breaking a massive explosion has hit an oil warehouse in Ardabil, Iran. Mossad trying to sabotage the negotiations. It says in parentheses, speculation. What are you talking about? That's an oil field. I don't see an explosion. I don't see anything. Whatever. Alright, Andrew Tate brings up Piers Morgan being mentioned in the Epstein files.
Is our democratic institutions and how corrupt they are.
Yep.
And I want every single person inside of the Epstein files, including the innocent people, including you, including Elon, including everyone, to be investigated to the full force of the law, because it is not down to them to admit wrongdoing. That is why we have a rule of law. Criminals do not admit they did things wrong. They go to court and they prove they did nothing wrong. And what I'm saying is that the British state has plenty of time They have plenty of time to arrest people for tweets.
Yeah, you made
they have
the
plenty
point.
of time to arrest people for nothing. So they should be investigating this huge pile of evidence. And the real questions are these. Why did they ignore the pile of evidence for a decade? 1. 2, who paid Jeffrey Epstein and made him so rich? 3, what were they paying
You made
him
all these
for?
points, yeah.
What decisions have taken place that have affected the lives of British people based on the back of bribe money paid to pedophiles as opposed to the will of the electorate? What laws need to be undone?
Andrew,
is our democratic institutions and how corrupt they are.
Yeah.
And I want every single person inside of the Epstein files, including the innocent people, including you, including Elon, including everyone, to be investigated to the full force of the law, because it is not down to them to admit wrongdoing. That is why we have a rule of law. Criminals do not admit they did things wrong. They go to court and they prove they did nothing wrong. And what I'm saying is that the British state has plenty of time. They have plenty of time to arrest people for tweets.
Yeah, you made
they have
the
plenty
point.
of time to arrest people for nothing. So they should be investigating this huge pile of evidence. And the real questions are these. Why did they ignore the pile of evidence for a decade? 1. 2, who paid Jeffrey Epstein and made him so rich? 3, what were they paying
You made
him
all these
for?
points, yeah.
What decisions
made all the points.
have taken place that have affected the lives of British people based on the back of bribe money paid to pedophiles as opposed to the will of the electorate? What laws need to be undone?
Andrew
is our
Andrew just like blew right through it. He did not mince any words. It's good to see. Cops are raiding Natalie. Is that her name? I want to say it's Natalie Rothschild or something like that. Anyways, it says cops are raiding Nat Rothschild's, or maybe it's Nathaniel Rothschild. I don't know. I thought there was a Natalie too. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Anyways, cops are raiding Nat Rothschild's property that he rents to Mandelson, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine et al. Represented the Rothschilds. The cousin of Nat's late father, Jacob Rothschild, was Evelyn D. Rothschild. I think it's Evelyn. I think that's who I was thinking of. Whose wife, Lynn, is another ringleader. Wait, Evelyn is gay? I'm pretty sure Evelyn is a woman, and it says Evelyn, whose wife Lynn was another ringleader. Maybe it's talking about Jacob's wife. I don't know. That's confusing. Either way, this article is from The Guardian, so there might be some truth to it. Mass deportations are officially over. I told you exactly how it would play out. This clip is from November 2024.
This is the first domino to fall. Mark my words. And, you know,
from Nick Fuentes, by the way.
I hope it doesn't go down this way. But if I had to bet right now, and I'm not a gambler, but if I was, I would bet you that this is how it's going to play out in the next 4 years. They may try to do something 2025, 2026 at the latest. They are going to get huge pushback from the media, from the Democrats, from the Republicans, from the donors. They're going to totally walk it back. And then they're going to say, well, mission accomplished. What we always meant was mass deportation of criminal illegals, violent criminals, gangs, whatever. You know, but you're not going to see 1 million people per year deported. I think it will be under 1 million per year. And in that sense, there will be nothing massive about it. And I think that just like the border wall, they're going to start it too late. There's going to be heavy opposition. And then when they don't get it done, they're going to come out and retcon it and say, well, we didn't really mean mass deportations. What we meant was self-deportations. They're going to say they meant some other thing, just like they did with the wall. You know, they only built 83 miles of barrier, or I should say barrier in 83 miles of land where there previously was no barrier. Everything else was replacement. And instead of building a wall, they built a fence.
Okay, guys, I just realized something. I might not be able to play Black Ops 7 tonight. I hate how these games will just like randomly have some big ass update. I didn't even realize I was downloading this during the show right now. But apparently I have like a 25 gigabyte download that I have to get. And I'm not going to be able to get that in time before playing this tonight. So I might have to switch games for tonight. Might have to play Doom. I feel like that's the best game to go to since I was really wanting to play Black Ops 7 tonight too. It's just I did not realize I had a big download I had to get. It's only 9% done. I was downloading it that entire time, so it's not going to be done before I get to play it. So we're probably going to have to switch out to Doom. Which I can do real quick. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be this way. Just kind of something I noticed during the video just now. Anyway, we'll fix it, don't worry. Don't you worry. Here's a song for my apology.
A number of people in the Mountain say they aren't satisfied with the administration just focusing on deporting violent criminals. That they.
Who are you with?
I'm Natalie Ellison with the Washington Post.
Washington, you're having a hard time getting readers. The Washington Post is doing very poorly. Go ahead. You have a very bad attitude. Go ahead.
Well, a number of people in your base say that they want to see all illegal immigrants deported, even ones who are otherwise
Let me tell you about
not
my base. Let me tell you about my base. My base has never been stronger. My base is me and other very good people that love our country. And if you talk about my base or the MAGA base, you could call it a lot of the American First Base, they couldn't be more thrilled. We have crime down to the lowest level that has been in 125 years. We have a border that's totally closed. We have all the things that our base wanted, and we have the best economy in history. Prices are down. We inherited very high prices and the highest inflation in the history of our country. Think of it, the highest in 48 years. Some people say 48 years, but I'll take either one. So my base is very happy.
Would you support mass deportations of people who are otherwise law-abiding?
Everybody, but we're focusing on the criminals, we're focusing on killers, we're focusing, but ultimately, they all broke the law. Some can, if they do it in a certain way, they can go out, they can come back, if they do it properly. But as you know, a lot of people have been deported, a lot. But the focus is on the murderers, the drug dealers. We have many people mentally insane. They dumped everything in our country. But ultimately, yeah, it's exactly as I said during the campaign.
Okay. And then switched everything out. Georgia set to reform voting system to prioritize paper ballots, hand counting ahead of midterms. Record stock market and national security driven by our great tariffs, says Donald Trump. I'm predicting 100,000 on the Dow by the end of the term, end of his term. We'll see. We're already at 50,000. Epstein is alive and playing Fortnite, says Hodge Twins. More receipts to support the Epstein's Fortnite account is in fact Little P. Jeff 1. According to the released documents from the DOJ, and the account has been set to private today upon the discovery. I think I reported on this. It wasn't a full report yet, though. pause that again. Drogo says, remember Epstein was sending real-time texts to politicians during congressional hearings with advice on what to say while they were interrogating the witness in order to sabotage Trump. Epstein was conspiring against Trump because he had nothing on him.
This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving...
Russia says nothing as investigated in the West when the world elite is involved.
Through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way. Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona. Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump Organization?
They
and
are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So, Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
Uh-huh.
The
You got to
Trump
quickly give us
Organization.
as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
As Ms. Rona, what is Ms. Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
Alrighty, so Kentucky statesman says Trump isn't referring to Christianity when he talks about religion. It was no accident that he didn't put his hand on the Bible when he took his oath this term. It was intentional. And I said at White House, I'm still waiting to hear back if Trump is still a Christian. I want to hear it from the lion's mouth. I think we should get a clear answer on that now, since people are speculating if he is Jewish or not. Andrew's ex-girlfriend insists she doesn't believe Jeffrey Epstein is dead and that pedophile is alive in Israel. She just straight up says it, doesn't she? So Candace Owens says, or she thinks that France is involved in Charlie Kirk's assassination, ? Trump loyalist and TikTok star John McEntee and former Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene emerge as dark horse candidates for the 2028 Republican primary. I'm not too sure about that post, so take that with a grain of salt. I wouldn't be surprised, though.
I now have verifiable proof in writing that Justin Strife and you lied to me. You know exactly who Pierre is. Why did Justin Strife say that he had never heard of Pierre? It's crazy. Justin, why would you do that? Justin, you know him. You've met with him. You've personally met with Pierre. Erica, you've met with him in the wake of Charlie's death. I have, again, verifiable proof. So you can call your lawyers. You can spend another $1 billion on PR if you want to. Tell your lawyer to call my lawyer. I mean, you guys certainly have the money to do all of these things. It's not going to wipe away the truth. Okay. The truth is that there was a deal on the table with Pierre, who, yes, is from France, born in France. And that deal was worth billions, not millions, billions, plural, billions of dollars. Just after Charlie was shot, and again, I have proof, Pierre had a phone call with Justin Strife. He also had a phone call with Mr. Don Orico of Turning Point USA down in Tampa. And you know what's really odd? Somehow this Frenchman, Pierre, he knew that Charlie was dead before the rest of the world did. How did he know that? How did he know before I knew? Especially because he wasn't yet a donor to Turning Point USA. Why was he given so much priority? Frenchman. I'm interested. I know that after Charlie died, that deal went through. Yeah. I'm lying, this would definitely fall within the category of defamation. So, yeah, I'm all in on this one.
Douglas
Yeah,
McGregor.
enormous amounts of weaponry and munitions and missiles.
Before I get into that, President Trump confirms the J6 committee members destroyed evidence exonerating him, traitors and criminals. I'm not going to read all that. You guys can go click on it if you want to read it. I'm about to jump in the game. Drogo says while everyone is focused on the Epstein files after Trump's psyop the world into taking the red pill on Pizzagate, he is reminding us that 2020 election theft arrests are on the horizon. There are levels to this.
The Michigan investigation team obtained forensic access to a DS-200 tabulator, the machine that counts the votes. A Telit 4G wireless chip manufactured in Taiwan was discovered embedded into the motherboard. The voting machine tapes clearly indicate modem engagement and transmission of election data. Some of the anomalies that we noticed in the 2020 general elections, that 5 key states all stopped counting at a certain time in these key battleground states. These were all where software, mini machines, ESNS machines were used through the Smartmatic GEMS software. So when the vote stopped counting, and this has been noted in other countries as well, President Trump was significantly ahead. When reporting and counting resumed, there was a massive spike occurred that favored Joe Biden. The Michigan investigation team obtained forensic access to a DS-200 tabulator, the machine that counts the votes. A Telit 4G wireless chip manufactured in Taiwan was discovered embedded into the motherboard. The voting machine tapes clearly indicate modem engagement and transmission of election data. Some of the anomalies that we noticed in the 2020 general elections, that 5 key states all stopped counting at a certain time in these key battleground states. These were all where the software, the mini machines, ESNS machines were used through the Smartmatic GEMS software. So when the vote stopped counting, and this has been noted in other countries as well, President Trump was significantly ahead. When reporting and counting resumed, there was a massive spike occurred that favored Joe Biden.
Okay, so I guess that's where that video came from. I was wondering what that was. Alright, the United States and Israel are facing a much different battle in Iran at this juncture. Enormous amounts of weaponry, munitions, and missiles have been delivered over the last few weeks by the Chinese.
And so forth have been delivered.
Which I actually reported on that.
Enormous amounts of weaponry and munitions and missiles and so forth have been delivered over the last few weeks by the Chinese. The Russians have been on the ground and have been working to help with the integrated air and missile offensives. The Chinese, and I presume the Russians as well, but we know without a doubt the Chinese have done this, have provided satellite imagery, real-time feed to the Iranians. So the Iranians are not in a position that they were the last time where they may not know where things are, that they're going to be surprised. I think they know where everything is, and that includes the ships at sea. Now, enormous amounts of weaponry and munitions and missiles and so forth have been delivered over the last few weeks by the Chinese. The Russians have been on the ground and have been working to help with the integrated air and missile offensives. The Chinese, and I presume the Russians as well, but we know without a doubt the Chinese have done this, have provided satellite imagery, real-time feed to the Iranians. So the Iranians are not in a position that they were the last time where they may not know where things are, that they're going to be surprised. I think they know where everything is, and that includes the ships at sea. Now, enormous amounts of
Epstein's account, Little T. Jeff 1 played Rocket League less than 3 days ago. Nick Fuentes obliterates J.D. Vance for condemning him. I actually agree with Nick in this.
He said that on the interview. He said, I condemn Nick Fuentes and his supporters. Well, then, we condemn you. J.D. Vance is officially condemned by the real America First. He is condemned by the real Americans. He's condemned by the Groypers. And you just lost a huge chunk of support, or potential support. You condemn me? Well, then don't complain when we don't vote for you. We are not voting for you. I am not voting for you. I am not telling anybody to vote for you. I don't care if you're the nominee. I don't care if you win the primary. You are not getting my vote. So you just made a big mistake. Off to a rough start there. I will reserve my endorsement for a candidate that is actually willing to put America first over Israel. I'm saving my endorsement for someone that is putting America first over India. We don't need another president that puts H-1B Indians and their shit and Israel First Jews and their money over the United States of America. I condemn you. I condemn your liberal wife. I condemn your sugar daddy, Peter Thiel. I condemn Little Tech. I condemn you and your America Last administration. You should worry about this catastrophe, which is the second term. You got no mass deportations. You got no peace with Russia. You're going to war with Iran. The economy is taking a shit. And you're on an interview condemning me? I condemn you, and I condemn this failing administration. Why don't you do your job? Why don't you march your little fat ass down to the Oval Office and tell this president to start deporting millions of people like you promised to do? Because if you don't, it's your ass in 2028. I got a news flash for you, pal. You can tell J.D. Vance and all these Republican boosters, they think that we're all going to swallow a J.D. Vance candidacy in 2028 and he doesn't have to fight for it. But they got another thing coming. J.D. Vance is the vice president. As far as I'm concerned, he owns the failures that are happening in this administration. He owns it. You resisted the Epstein files. You have not deported nearly enough people.
I'll pause it right there for a second. I'm just going to read this real quick, and after we get done with this video, we're going to jump straight into the game. The World Health Organization refused to return the U.S. flag to Rubio after President Trump withdrew from the organization. President Trump sent the U.S. Marines to capture the flag. Wow. The WHO claimed they had not approved the U.S. withdrawal. Secretary Rubio said, "Fuck around and find out." Alright, so I guess the Marines went to go get the flag. That's a black flag movement. I like it. I like it. Kicking the global world government where it hurts. Right in the wallet. So Marine detachment are in possession of the American flag that hung at the WHO. The flag dedicated to the American lives lost during COVID is on its way back to the U.S. To Secretary Rubio. Promises made, promises kept. So yeah, they actually sent Marines to go get it. Kind of interesting. Alright, let's finish this.
We are on our way to strike Iran again. You're on an interview talking about a live streamer. You're on NBC condemning the Groypers. You need to focus up. You need to get your head in the game. Stop giving speeches. Stop throwing yourself in front of the cameras every time it concerns an issue that you know is going to be a campaign ad in 2028. And why don't you start governing? Why don't you start using that executive power? Why don't you start doing things then? I'm not sold on that. I don't think anybody's sold on that, and I don't think anybody is sold on you. We don't even know who you are. You know what I was doing in 2016? I was knocking on doors for President Trump. You voted for Evan McMullin. In 2017, I was at Charlottesville. You were on CNN calling Trump a Nazi and praising Obama. And tomorrow night on my show on Friday, I'm doing a special. We are going to talk about all of Jeffrey Epstein's connection to this administration. And that's going to be a problem for you, buddy.
Americans are in black flag mode. Just a warning to all the corrupt. Hopefully it doesn't get too messy, but I think people are really getting to a certain point of just refusal. It's like, hey, listen to us or get out.
Tomorrow night, we're doing a big special. We are going to map out all of Jeffrey Epstein's connections, in particular to this Trump administration. Howard Lutnick and Leon Black and Les Wexner and Peter Thiel and Reid Hoffman, all of it, we're going in. You want to play this game? All right, let's play. Here's the difference. You want to be the president of the United States. I'm a live streamer. You want to go to war with me? You want to go to war with the Groypers? Here's the difference. You need young white men to turn out and vote for you. You are asking for something from us. You are trying to be the president. I'm a live streamer. I can do this all day. I can do this all day, pal. You want to go to war with me? I don't think you're going to like how that winds up for you. So that's my response to the vice president of the United States. I can eat shit. You eat shit.
So we always have a great time. Next question. What do you or the president know about UFOs? Can you share? I hear that the president has something in the queue to share with us about all of this. Now, truth be told, I'm trying to remember how long ago it was. It may have been right after he left office, after the first term. I remember Eric being like, all right, what can you tell us? And he was a little hesitant to give us any real info, which makes me think like he's got a lot of info out there and he's waiting for the right time to drop it. And maybe this is going to be the time, because I keep seeing all these stories about how he's got some like UFO speech that he's got queued up, and, you know, we all should just kind of sit back and wait. Now, here's the thing I'll say. What do I know about UFOs? What I know is that our universe is so enormous. It actually, if I start thinking about it, it makes me a little crazy. You think about just our solar system, okay? And then you think about how many solar systems like ours are in our galaxy. And then you think about how many galaxies are in this
Not really
universe.
all she's gonna say.
The whole thing
Okay, I'm starting the game.
is just, it's kind of like mind-boggling. So the idea that the only form of intelligent life out there is us, that we're like twerking on TikTok and stuff, that's it. I don't know. I find it hard to believe. I fully believe that there's other life out there throughout the universe. And if you look at some of the like prophets, you know, these are people hundreds of years ago, or I don't even know how long ago. A lot of them say that sometime soon we're supposed to have some sort of an interaction with another form of life from
You have been ingested.
So I don't know. I fully believe there's more out there. I think it would be a heck of a waste of space if it's just us here and we're doing like dumb challenges and then just like on TikTok. Okay.
Major organ located.
Fucking A. Yeah. Got him. Oh, what? I didn't know my health was, yeah. I didn't even know my health was low. I kinda wanna restart. That was a warm-up.
Major organ located.
Come on. Damn, what the fuck hit me? Alright, much better. Is that a door? Easy peasy. Once you realize you just have to get close to those things, then it's kind of easy. They're hard if you don't know what to do. Get up close and they're easy. As long as you deflect all the bullshit. Anybody that plays this game will know what I'm talking about. But like, what the hell does that mean? You'll know when you play. Look up there. I think I'm supposed to do something. It's supposed to be up here yet. I can't remember if there's fall damage or not. Oh wait, no there's not. I don't ever use that gun. I wish I could use it on a different thing. I'm just gonna get it, screw it. If I waste it, I'll waste it. Probably should have just held on to it. Oh well, YOLO. definitely awesome. Shit, I didn't see that. What's up with that? I'm not supposed to get through that. I don't know how I'm supposed to get through that. Is there like a dash ability? But I found gold. We struck gold. What's this room? I can go back. I'll go again. Oh god. Oh shit. Got anything? That thing making that noise? It's weird.
Caution. Clear signal is surrounded by enemy targets.
One second. I just realized I never checked on anything. You're good? Everything planned? Alright. As long as everything's good and everything's planned, we're good. Oh, there she is.
even for you. The Sentinels know so little about themselves. She has the spirit of an ancient Sentinel god within her. A wraith who are descendants of this realm. Here, her energy becomes fully realized.
Oh shit. First time.
And it can be harnessed.
First time I've seen him without his helmet. Look at him. It's the first time you ever seen Doom Guy.
We should kill him.
Making history tonight.
We'll need something more permanent. Etrigos, Zardoz, Marzuka.
So badass. Alright kids, turn your heads away. Full-blown awesomeness inbound. Doom Guy, do something! Is that her spirit? Oh, damn. He's still in her soul? Oh, shit. I don't like this guy. He's even scaring the fat guy. What? That's how you're gonna end it? Damn it. Alright, well, I guess let's jump into the next mission so I can see what the hell's going on. He stole her damn soul. So now we gotta go, like, get her soul back or something. Son of a bitch.
The Creed came back, alone. And the Slayer. Nothing. Get him on. Bishop Creed. Where is Thera?
The Slayer came, and there was a struggle. We should leave. Now.
Damn, son. No.
Everyone out, now.
Where's Doom Guy? No. He looks English. Or, I don't know, just Roman. Something. He's a white dude. hell's going on, but it's awesome. Wait, how's that thing still alive? I thought I killed it. Who gave you a new spleen? You actually gonna do it this time? Whatever. Somebody save me. I'm too pretty to die. I didn't expect that face under that helmet, to be honest. He's not what I expected. I expected him to be like this
brutal, without mercy.
Ugly,
but you,
retarded-looking man.
You will be worse. Rip and tear until it is done.
He looks like he could probably pick up some babes. Not gonna lie. If I was out on the town, he might be my wingman. As long as he's not weird. He's probably kind of weird. Get away from me. Ugly. What? Nuh-uh. I'm a demon? Or what the hell am I? I don't like this. Where did I just come from? I like ripped myself out of the wall somewhere. Bro. This should have been at the start of the game.
Sentinel network.
I'll get up there. Okie doke. Oh.
Signal detected. A beacon is emanating from the mortal plane.
I am blood. Seems too clear to be blood. How do I get out of here? What's up, guys? What are you? Like a soul demon? wish y'all put some English on the walls so other people can read.
Scanning. Vessel located.
It's the most spoken language on the planet besides Mandarin. That's all. Shit, he just knocked me off. Damn it. Damn it, Bobby. Music just goes away. What is that? music just stops. Dude. I don't want to. I'll restart the area before I use that life. I want to save it for later. Not that far anyways.
Next objective.
Sculpt down. I don't know what that means. Sounds like a key. rocket launcher. It's always there, I just never use it. It's hard because I kill myself with it. I'm not trying to. Some enemy will pop up in front of me, and I'll kill myself randomly. Get in there. I hear the thing in there. Oh, okay. I know I heard it. Ooh, got it. Look how they made it sound like a pinball machine. Ding 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 ding. What happened? Bit. Finally I can get something. Pulverizer. Killing a demon with a pulverizer melee builds charge based on the size of the demon. I don't really know what it does. It looks like it just shoots a golden skull or something. Runic skull acquired. Okay. Whatever, man. There that. Sometimes I do it so fast, I'm just like surprising myself. I'm like, huh? Let's see, what? I kind of miss the, got all this gold. I'm glad I came this way. More gold anywhere? I can't pick it up. That's lame. I can only hold 3 at a time. Red skull.
Fine total obtained.
Thing of gold I missed up there? Yeah, I did. I think. Yeah. I can't throw my shield at it. Good. Wondering about that. Saves me a lot of ammo whenever I do it that way.
Payment required.
Love it. Oh, Doom Guy is my spirit animal. I don't know, maybe he's a demon now, I'm not sure. I don't know if he's like undead or... Is he gonna get his pretty face back? He kinda looked like a Backstreet Boy, I'm not gonna lie.
Vessel scanned. Routing to bridge.
Oh. Oh, cool. Alright, the shield is kind of fun. They keep spawning. I'm getting quite a few now. I'll get back up. Yeah. That. We're on a pirate ship now? Hell yeah. Black flag, baby. Hell yeah. Love it. Look at this motherfucker. This is badass 24/7. Love it. I don't even know what chapter I'm on. Oh. I hope they never stop making these games. They're just too good. Resurrection. Ooh, that sounds fun. Am I gonna look all pretty again? I'm not saying he's pretty. I mean, he just looked like the typical, I don't know, well-structured hero face. Return to the mortal plane. Are we in purgatory or something? Eee, there's blood creeks here. I don't like it.
By blood right, we invoke the dark powers to call upon the damned.
Resurrect the Doom Guy. Oh, sorry. That's not supposed to happen, right? Yeah. It's gonna be the last mission of the night, anyways. So.
Responding! Defenses about to be breached!
I'm going back.
Look at that. That didn't last long. They used dark magic to bring it back. Is that what just happened? I'm confused. Is that not like a, yeah, it's a pentagram. The hell? The hell?
The outer defenses were
I don't think God's gonna like this. I wouldn't think at least, but I don't really know. I mean, they didn't say much. They just like let it happen, just like, meh, whatever. Summon additional ethereal daggers. Oh yeah, I want that. What's these other ones? Oh yeah, I forgot there's a turret too. How do I use that? How does it come out? Oh, that's how. Oh, I gotta pick it. Okay. Oh, there's ground fissures, there's daggers, there's a turret. I kinda wanna try the turret. Reduction. That's the one I had before. I wanna try this turret. Did I already pick it? Apparently I already had the turret, and apparently I already have the health extractor. Okay, I'm gonna keep that then. What's this? Extended edge. Shield throws. Extended reach against fodder demons. Oh, cool. Why not? Why not? Get that shit off the field. Mow the grass, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
The Creed just surrendered. He's not responding.
everybody instantly.
He's still got a siege tower. Get word to Novik.
Second tower is down.
Been obliterated.
That's about all I wanted. Talking about anything? That's fine. buy me something pretty? Huh. It's a glitching shield. It's the only one I can buy. Lame. Well, I ought to save a little bit then. Jolt. It's weird that I can't buy anything for my guns. Steadfast, recover more faster from damage. That's good. Harvester. Okay. Why not? Let's do it. YOLO. How do I get over there? Am I gonna go all the way around? Gee, I didn't see that little corner over there. Fuck, my ride's here.
There's one left.
Where is he at?
Clean ship is powering up. The Makers won't allow this. The Slayer will decide his fate.
Cedric, please, help me. I can still be of service.
It's a boss battle. Feels like a boss battle.
What was asked of me?
kind of cool. At least it allows me to dodge it. Boss is kind of fun, actually. Got him.
I'm worth more to you alive than dead. I can bring you Prince Azrin.
Shield's down, bro. Well, that's it. bring it back. Fucking A. Missing. Yeah. That's a good way to end the night.
Azaric is keeping her alive on his ship. If she dies, his power would die with her. I can take you to her.
Nope. That's how you handle evil. Alright, everybody. It's been fun. I had fun, at least. If you liked today's video, go ahead and like that video. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and follow too. And I'll probably see you next week. Have a great night. Have a happy weekend.